Okay, stop making fun of me. I know. There's way too many of these videos, but hey, don't blame me, man. Blame Ben Simmons, okay? And blame the fact that Joel Embiid actually gave him a crazy savage response today, which we have to get to. So real quick, I want to let you guys know the Laced Up Podcast is back. We are 3,000 subscribers away from hitting 40,000 subscribers. And when we do, we're going to give away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on that channel. And in addition to that, if you guys could take a moment to consider following us on Instagram or Twitter, leaving a like on the video and subscribing and turning on our notifications so we could keep bringing you Ben Simmons videos, that'd be greatly appreciated. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So if you guys caught the last bit of the Laced Up Podcast, we actually jumped into this, which was something that I never expected Ben Simmons to say about Joel Embiid. So up until this point, training camps have started. Ben Simmons has executed his plan to perfection. He set out to do exactly what he said he was going to do, and that's by not reporting to training camp at all whatsoever. As a result, this guy could literally end up losing something like $10 to $16 million, depending on how many games he misses out on. I don't really know the math, but like, if you're Ben Simmons and you're making $127 million over the lifetime of your contract, then $10 to $16 million just to make a statement or just to make a trade demand doesn't really sound too bad. Now, here's where things get really interesting, okay? Of course, we had Doc Rivers coming out saying that the media took what he said out of context when he said that he doesn't know whether or not Ben Simmons could be a starting point guard on a championship team. I gave you a warning that Doc Rivers is a huge snake oil salesman, man. He says whatever it takes in order to get his players where he needs them to be so he can screw them over. I've seen it in the past with Blake Griffin, and we might be seeing it over here right now with Ben Simmons. As a result, I'm sorry, Doc, I don't really trust you in these situations. Daryl Morey, I have tremendous respect for. I just think he's a very savvy GM, but Ben Simmons isn't necessarily the type of player that Daryl Morey would like to build around. Now, speaking of building rosters around specific players, we got into that a lot this week. It started with Joel Embiid coming out and saying that, hey, we find ourselves in trade rumors all the time. I've been in trade rumors. Hell, if the Golden State Warriors offered Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to the Sixers, for me, I would not be offended if they traded me because, dude, that's Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. How could you not accept that trade? Now, here's where things get really interesting. Apparently, Ben Simmons isn't mad that he was dangled in James Harden trade rumors earlier because, well, yeah, dude, it's James freaking Harden. That could completely launch the Sixers into the next stratosphere. I think he's more upset that his name is in rumors such as a potential trade for Malcolm Brogdon or a potential trade for D'Angelo Russell. And it's gotten so bad that, of course, he's willing to go to the Sacramento Kings, apparently, or the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, here's what we have up until this past week, okay? The 76ers and Daryl Morey think that there is a lot of hope for reconciliation here, with Daryl Morey saying, look, every situation is different, but we have a lot of optimism that we can make it work here. Ben's a great player, and we expect him back. We expect him to be a 76er. Look, I'm going to be honest, there is zero chance in hell that the 76ers want Ben Simmons back so they could compete for a championship. I'm just being honest with you. I don't think it's true at all. I think they are seeing what the market is for Ben Simmons. They don't like what the market is for Ben Simmons. So maybe if Ben Simmons comes back and they play a little bit better, they could trade him for another player. I don't think the Sixers want to continue with this Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons core. I think they just want to get a better return for Ben Simmons. Let me know in the comment section down below if you agree with that take or not. So here's the main issue, guys. Apparently, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are starting to clash with each other in regards to whose team it is, technically. So here's the problem. Apparently, obviously, there were the issues that Ben Simmons had against the Hawks, and that wasn't necessarily the best look. Being very passive, being afraid to go to the free throw line, definitely not the best look. But there is another issue, according to people who have intimate knowledge of how Ben Simmons sees this situation. It's the fact that he continues to insist that he's done playing with Joel Embiid. There's nothing personal about this choice, it seems, but the 25-year-old Ben Simmons has clearly decided that his career is better off without Embiid blocking the runways in the paint that he so badly needs to succeed. First of all, I love how the article uses the words that he so badly needs to succeed. Like, that's kind of like a slight diss at Ben Simmons because, I mean, look, with all due respect to Ben Simmons, the guy can't freaking shoot, bro. Like, he definitely needs those lanes to succeed. But at the same time, if you are a point guard or if you're a point forward, Joel Embiid is like a wet dream if you're in a situation where you want to make plays. I mean, not only does he quote unquote block the lanes that Ben Simmons needs to succeed, which, by the way, most centers do, but he has the ability to step back and hit three-pointers. I mean, honestly, it's kind of crazy, but how many centers do you know? I mean, obviously, Karl Anthony Towns is a beast, but how many centers do you know that average three-pointers per game for a 38% clip, average 28 points per game, shoot an absurd 53% from the field, have a 30.3 player efficiency rating, are remarkable when it comes to their offensive box plus minus 6.2 and defensive box plus minus 1.0. Why on earth would you not want to play with Joel Embiid? He's probably in my top 3 of players I would want to play with because, hey, if we're in the half court offense and I don't know, I'm kind of taking the whole offense out of rhythm because I don't know, I can't shoot freaking three-pointers, hey, I could throw the ball in to Joel Embiid and he could cook in the post, and he typically does. And so I don't understand why Ben Simmons would not want to play that. But this is just 2 days old information because Joel Embiid actually comes and claps back. Now, the article continues. We're not done yet with the first article. As he sees it, sources say, the organization's choice to build its basketball ecosystem around Joel Embiid's style simply isn't conducive to the way Ben Simmons needs to play. So while Embiid insisted to reporters on Monday that he wants Simmons back, this much is clear, the feeling is not mutual. Oh my, bro, I swear basketball is like a soap opera. I'm not even kidding. Now, it continues to recite old information, such as when Ben Simmons turned his teammates away when they wanted to visit him in Los Angeles to make a last-ditch plea. In his mind, this chapter is closed, and there's simply no dignity in coming back for the sake of filling a familiar spot until the inevitable occurs. Even if he has 4 seasons and a combined $140 million left on his deal. I don't think this is going to end well, man. Joel Embiid originally was very much on the boat of, Ben, please come back, we can win with you. Now he's completely shifted his stance, and to be honest, I can't really blame him because if you look at all the teams that Ben Simmons has played on, every single member of his teams that are playing next to him are players that are capable catch and shoot three-point shooters. Like this past year, he had Seth Curry, he had Danny Green, he had Joel Embiid, he had Tobias freaking Harris. I mean, I don't think there's a better setup if you're a playmaking guard or a playmaking forward. I don't know what you are, Ben, I'm sorry. But Joel Embiid came out, and we have audio of this, but the audio is very low. So today, the 76ers media asked Joel Embiid whether or not he agrees with this report saying where Ben Simmons came out and said that they're not a fit, and Joel Embiid is pretty much sabotaging the man's career. Now, he said some pretty insane stuff, and it's a lot, so let's get to it. He said, I saw it, I'm not sure, I don't know if it came from him or whatever, but over the past few months, stuff has been put out there. Looking at the reaction of him not being here, I feel like it's fair to assume it's coming from whether it's his agent or his people or whatever. I feel like over the years, the way our team has been built around, you look at last year, the whole starting lineup shot. I mean, I was the worst three-point shooter in the starting lineup, and I shot 38% from 3. We've always had shooters, and I feel like I can really play with anybody. I can make anybody better on the court. I don't necessarily need shooters, but I feel like over the years, you look like when we signed Al Horford, it's because we needed a stretch 5, just to make sure that was there. Most of my career, I've had to kind of step out to the three-point line, which I don't mind. I like to be a basketball player. I like to do everything on the basketball court. So first of all, I want to say that I agree with Joel Embiid. Technically speaking, the things that benefit Ben also benefit Joel. Ideally, you have players that could shoot around Joel Embiid in the event that he gets double teamed, although that's a very mid-2000s, like back when Kobe and Shaq were dominating, or back when Dwight Howard was in Orlando dominating. That was kind of the strategy that took the Orlando Magic to the 2009 NBA Finals. They surrounded Dwight Howard with a bunch of capable three-point shooters. You have to double team Dwight Howard, he's too much of a beast, and it typically resulted in wide open threes. But take a look at this, because Joel Embiid goes in on Ben Simmons here. but I feel like our teams have been built. Whether it's the shooting needed or stretch 5 and all that stuff, I feel like he's always had it here, and we still have it. Seth Curry is one of the best three-point shooters ever. Danny Green, Tobias is a 40% three-point shooter. Furkan is coming off of the bench. At times, Shake Milton. I think he can be a better shooter, but you know, he can get hot. We just added George, so I feel like our teams have always been built around his needs. So it was kind of surprising to see. We'll say that. Even going back to the reason we signed Al, we got rid of Jimmy, which I still think it was a mistake, just to make sure, because he needed the ball in his hands, and that's the decision they made. Like I said, it is surprising, but I'm really focused on the guys that are here. The situation is disappointing, borderline kind of disrespectful to all the guys that are out here fighting for their lives. Some guys rely on the team being successful to stay in the league and make money somehow, because if you're on a winning team, you're always going to have a spot in the league, just because you're on a winning team and you contributed. This is why I think the entire situation's bizarre, because Ben Simmons is coming out saying that he wouldn't mind playing on the Sacramento Kings, or he wouldn't mind playing on the Houston Rockets, which, by the way, the Houston Rockets would be really fun to watch with Ben Simmons there, but I don't think they'd be as competitive as this year's Philadelphia 76ers. Those are just rumored teams, but what if we get hit with a curveball, like when Kawhi Leonard got traded to the Toronto Raptors? I know in hindsight it worked out for him, but that was kind of a curveball that nobody was expecting. There are times where players get traded exactly where they want to go to, like James Harden getting traded to the Nets or Anthony Davis getting traded to the Lakers. But in this scenario, Ben Simmons has so little leverage and there's such a little demand for him to potentially get traded that the Philadelphia 76ers might literally ship him off to a team that is just really bad for his career. I mean, look at the starting lineup with him in Sacramento. De'Aaron Fox, a 27% three-point shooter. Tyrese Halliburton, who had a pretty good first year and is a 41% three-point shooter. Buddy Hield, who's also a 41% three-point shooter, but he'd probably get traded for Buddy Hield if I'm being honest, or Tyrese Halliburton. Marvin Bagley, who shoots 34% from three, but doesn't really attempt that many threes per game. What I'm trying to say is, if you look at these other teams, they don't really present the opportunity that the Sixers do. There's not as much star power, or their role players aren't as good as the Sixers. So I don't understand why Ben Simmons wants out of Philadelphia so much. It's a huge pride war, and it doesn't make sense why he's doing it. Just because he had one bad performance and his team kind of called him out. Yeah, the way they handled it was bad, but at the same time, what do you expect? If you aren't performing up to par and you're a franchise cornerstone player, then you're gonna get called out. Of course, it could have been handled differently. It should have been done behind closed doors, but Ben, you've been the same exact player ever since you've entered the league. You've only had one issue, and that's fixing your jumper, and I don't see any attempt to fix that, which is why you were thrown under the bus that way. And especially after a regression in the playoffs, obviously you're gonna get kind of scapegoated. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this entire situation. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next Ben Simmons video.